Good evening and welcome. I'm your host, Stuart Blanchet, and I thank you for joining us for yet another episode of Giles Tenderworth's Monsters in the Dark. Episode 29, The Dragon. Millions of years ago, before humans were a spark in the Creator's eye, then ruled the dinosaurs. They came in all shapes and sizes, living relatively peacefully alongside the ancient Fae. They were the ancestors of chickens, crocodiles, and hydra. When their time came, they died out, mostly, leaving behind their bones, our inheritance of graves. But their progenitors, the dragons of old, keepers of flame and sea, of stone and sky, who were there when all was darkness, they foresaw the cataclysm that approached, and scattered onto the farthest corners of the world, to hide, to sleep, to wait, until their time came when they could rise again. Some of them remained asleep for too long and awoke, famished. They took what they needed from the lesser beings around them and the countryside within their reach. This would, in time, lead to the great dragon purge, where dragon slayers from all corners of the earth would gather, and with the help of foolish, chaotic Fae, slay as many dragons as they could. Saint George, Rostam the brave, Hercules the mighty. These kills, murders, in turn, enraged the dragons, drove them mad. Other dragons had long been awake, rejuvenated by their rest. These had awoken, surrounded by bustling creatures, and their curiosity for these new life forms turned them into benevolency. They became the deities of wind and rain, of river and storm. But upon seeing the death of their kin in distant lands, chose largely to vanish. The 9 children of the Dragon King set forth from their heavenly fortress in hopes of negotiating and calming the burgeoning dragon rage. But more than one of them was foolish. At least one son, when faced with the insults of the humans' actions and their blinded brethren, stole the rivers from the land, holding them hostage until both sides could see reason. The human monarchs sent out warriors to slay this beast, but only the most humble and cleverest of them could convince the dragon to eat trapped meals and bring about the restoration of their rivers. Only the dragons who brought their elemental gifts with them into a place that sorely needed it were welcomed and accepted. But by then it was too late. The dragon purge would not be stopped, and the Dragon King, in his grief, took his court and fled beyond the veils. The few dragons that remained, that had yet to be purged, deepened their madness. In their sorrow and their grief, seeking any form of permanence, they unwittingly created a myth of hoards of treasure guarded jealously by dragons. This only deepened the dragon slayer's resolve. Few such hoards have ever been found, both respected and feared, known in all corners of the world. We have driven the dragons from our midst and into history. Some yet believe that they remain among us in one of their 9 forms. Some out for the vengeance of their species, and others out trying to help where they can. But most records agree that the dragons have largely passed well beyond our reach, leaving us only with more bones in our graveyard. Fare thee well into the dark. Take heed not to be driven by your emotions, your monarch, or your friends. Do not let rumor or hearsay dictate your actions, especially if they're too good to be true. Until next time, I am your host, Stuart Blanchet, and I thank you very much for joining us for this episode of Giles Tenderworth's Monsters in the Dark. Please take the time to like and subscribe to our channel, and also check out our Kickstarter when you have a moment, already 2/3 of the way through. Fare thee well, dear watcher, and good night.